lot of people think about being prepared and what that means. And then there are some details that we rarely give some time to think about. Now, in my research, looking at FEMA sites and taking Red Cross emergency training courses, there are 10 things that kind of stick out to me. And so I'm going to share with you my top 10 items that you really need to have to be prepared, whether you're going to be at home or whether you're going to be forced to leave your home and go somewhere else. So item 1 is water, and that's access to water or having stored water. And the rule of thumb is about 1 gallon per person per day. And you want to have about 1 week's worth or 7 days worth of water. My rule, I keep 14 days. And I just like to add my bit to it. The other thing is, what is the water in? I prefer that there are these containers that are 7-gallon containers that have a top that becomes a spout, and they hold 7 gallons. But more importantly, a single person can carry one. So however you have your water stored, especially if you think you're going to need to leave or move away, have the water stored in containers that a single person can carry them. The next is food. Think camping, right? Don't think hunting, think camping. So what does that mean? You should have freeze-dried food, whatever your flavors are. That's up to your particular palate and that of your family or the people who will be with you. But you should have 7 days worth. Now, there are 3 calorie amounts to think about. The lowest level, which you should never plan to be less than, is 1,100 calories per day per person. That is the official just before prevent starvation diet in terms of calories. The next level is 1,500 calories per day per person, and this is an adult. And that's the normal running around. Now, that's for males. For females, it can be a little less. 1,500 calories a day for most females is about right, and not too much and not too little. For most guys, you'll probably lose weight at that. The third level is 2,500 calories per day or more, and that is if you are in motion. That is, you're moving, you're working, you're doing activities around the place where you are, or trying to get to the place where you are. So it's up to you to decide how much. But the minimum amount is 7 days worth. I happen to carry or keep 14 days worth of freeze-dried food from various vendors. First aid. You should have 2 types of first aid at a minimum. One is a trauma kit or an individual first aid kit, IFAC, military, or also known as a blowout kit. That has to deal with immediate, massive bleeding trauma that you have to deal with. The second level is what I call a boo-boo kit, and that's to deal with minor cuts, bruises, scrapes. You'll have aspirin and those kinds of things. Also included in your first aid kit, thinking, are any prescription drugs that anyone in your party or traveling party or family needs to have. Now, I carry with me all the time in my everyday carry backpack both a blowout kit and a boo-boo kit as just part of what I carry around. So think about what you have. What do you have in your house right now that if you had to move, you'd have that with you? The next item is cash. And when I say cash, I mean actual cash, not an ATM card. Cash. And you might want to think about $100 per adult per week. And that would be in small bills, ones and fives, and coins. And that's so you can move around. It's very difficult once you get $20 and up, $20 bills and up, to find people that want to deal with that kind of currency. Also, it makes it easier for you to put money into vending machines and so forth. So, cash, think about $100 cash, small bills and change per person per week. The fifth item is hygiene. People just don't think about that. So think about being in a tent somewhere or being in a closed space and your feet stink, your crotch stinks, your breath stinks, your hair stinks. Look, there is no reason to not have good hygiene even when you're out and about. Think about just a travel kit, the things that you, those small toothpaste things. A couple of those are going to last you a while. A little spritz of a little deodorant. They have travel sizes, right? Just go check out your store and you'll see some of the things that you can have with you. You don't have to have a shower. Get those big pads, big sheets of body wipe. Yeah, that's your bigger ones for adults, and you can stay fairly clean and fairly odor-free for quite a while. And so 2 of those big packs, they have 8 sheets in them. So 1 pack per person, whether it's adult or child, per week, and you're good to go, right? Me, I keep 14 days worth, and that helps keep things squared away. And I'm sure you can think of other things, but you can be clean, and you should be clean, even in a disaster, when you have to move or when you have to stay in your house. You need to have tools. That's the next thing to consider. I'm not talking about your big rollaways and all that, just a set of small hand tools, hammer, screwdrivers, Phillips, flathead. Depending on where you are in your house, you should have the ability to turn off the gas. There's special gas turn-off tools for that. And you should have gloves, work gloves. It doesn't do you any good if you just trashed your hands and now you can't function, right? And there should be 1 pair of work gloves per adult in your party, whether in your house or who's traveling. Something to consider. The next is in a small category of communication, but I'm talking about the ability to receive weatherband information. That is, what's going on with the weather, especially with respect to alerts. Now, that can be one of those survival radios that you see. You can crank them up, solar powered, and you can turn them AM, FM, and they can get to weatherband. Ham radios, almost all of them can have a channel to get to NOAA. That's the weather folks anywhere in this country for sure. Your cell phone, your smartphone, there are apps that either you can get from FEMA. There's a FEMA app strictly for the phone, and it will give you alerts in real time everywhere in the country that you ask for, up to 5 locations, I think. And the regular weather bug or similar kind of weather stations give you alerts as well. They all tend to come from the same place, and that's from NOAA. So the ability to receive weatherband information. The next item is light. Light. Portable flashlights. Minimum lumens should be 100. You can get them up. You can get really bright lights that last for a long time, either with batteries or rechargeable batteries. You should have at least 2 lights. It's 2 per adult traveling. 1 is none and 2 is 1. Light is important. You also ought to consider having the luminescent sticks. Those are the ones that you break and then they generate their own light. They're cheap. You can get packs of them at any sporting goods store and they last for a very long time. They are cool to the touch. You can get them in different colors so that you can use them for various signaling, even if you want to do that. So portable light is what you really want to have. Prescription medications. Now we're talking about emergency situation. The types of prescription medications you really need to think about are the ones that if you don't take them, it can be life-threatening. Those have to deal with heart-related problems, diabetes, and that kind of thing. If you have boutique things that don't worry about that stuff. You'll deal with that later. But life-threatening, if you don't have the drug, and a life-threatening situation can happen as a result of not having it, make sure you have 2 weeks supply and have a copy of the prescription. And last on my list, it sounds weird, but you ought to have a whistle. Some kind of thing that would amplify your ability to communicate to the outside world. If you cannot speak, you cannot talk, you cannot communicate any other way, you're buried under something, you're trapped somewhere, and you want to let people know that you're there. So, and it's called a safety whistle. They don't cost any kind of money. Just get one and have it in your kit. You can have it in the first aid kit. You could have it with your tools. You could have several and place them different places. Have one in your everyday carry bag. So that's my list of things that you might want to consider having as being prepared, whether to hunker down in your house or you have to get up and leave. So as always, thanks for watching. Carry on.